Hello and welcome back to Pop Culture Graveyard. I am Hollis, and this week I'm going to be bringing you some records that I rescued from my parents' basement. It's not my parents' records. That would be a whole bunch of Johnny Mathis, Ella Fitzgerald, and Sing Along with Mitch records. What? I have old parents. These are records I put out at my parents' house for storage years ago on one of my several moves, and I forgot all about them. They were, in a word, musty. Some I was able to save, some I was not able to save. But I'm going to be showing you all of the records that I managed to rescue. So join me this week for Musty Must-Have Records. Trademark! Before we get rolling, I just want to say if you're enjoying the content I'm bringing you from week to week and would like to enjoy full, uncut, uncensored, I don't censor these, uninterrupted episodes with no ads, please consider joining my Patreon. It's at patreon.com/popculturegraveyard. And thanks. So here's the story of this weekend. I went out to my parents' house for my niece's birthday. My dad, he gives himself all these projects. He's cleaning out the attic. He's cleaning out the basement. He's cleaning out the driveway. Anyway, one of the things he happened upon were 2 boxes of my records. They are from years ago. When I looked inside the boxes, I was like, this is where these went. Some of them I needed. Some of them I was like, my parents' basement is a good spot for this. But I took back with me that which I really wanted to rescue. So I got the records Saturday, and I took all of Sunday to clean up these records. For those of you who are wondering, they smelled strongly of mildew, not mold, mildew. If you have moldy records, I suggest you throw them away or give them to a friend with a high-priced cleaning machine. They are out of the realm of rescuing on a budget. For the sleeves, I cleaned the entire front and back and inside if it was a gatefold with micellar water, which removed any dirt or mildew and removed the scent of the same. I took free and clear wipes and I cleaned the front and back and inside if it was a gatefold until the mildew scent was mostly gone. Then I took dryer sheets, free and clear bounce is what I used. And then I took 2 of these sheets, opened them, and slid them inside the sleeves. If it was a gatefold, it got 4 of these, 2 in each sleeve. And then I closed it up. Then I put each of the cleaned record sleeves inside these Japanese clear outer sleeves. These are the only kind of sleeves I use now. They have a flap, and that's good, especially for something like this, to keep the scent inside and make sure that it removes most of the mildew smell. This is also a good technique to remove cigarette smoke or patchouli, which is a scent I hate and is my mortal enemy. Anyway, as I say, I rescued a lot of these records. So without further eloquence, here come the records. Never Mind the Bollocks, here's the Sex Pistols. I already have a copy of this, but this is one I've played all the time, totally forgetting about this guy. And so the disc on this edition is in much better shape than this one that I played to death. These are both 1977 original US copies. And this is one of those LPs that I get burnt out on. I don't listen to it for a while, then I put it on again, and then I'm like, why don't I listen to this all the time? So it's good to have a backup. Mr. James Brown, Getting Down to It. This is a 1969 album on which James Brown wants to be Frank Sinatra, and it's fascinating. He's backed only by the Felice trio. Regardless of what it looks like on the cover, this is a studio album. This is on King Records, which began as a label for hillbilly music, which is funny because one of its subsidiaries gave rise to the great man himself, James Brown, about as far from hillbilly music as you can get while still being in this country. Anyway, James Brown covers things like I Love You for Sentimental Reasons and It Had to Be You, but he also does his own songs like Cold Sweat and my beloved There Was a Time, which has always been one of my favorite James Brown joints. This is a really fun curio in James Brown's catalog. I don't want to belabor the point, but if you only know James Brown from his more incendiary work with the JBs, you're in for a Schmilson-like treat. As long as we're getting funky. Music from the soundtrack, Shaft. Written, produced, and performed by the inimitable Isaac Hayes. This is in stereo on Enterprise Records. This is 2 discs worth of music that I highly, highly recommend. It's one of those put 'em on and play kind of jams, and you will be surprised because the theme from Shaft is representative of a number of tracks on this, but it's jazzy as well. There are some vibes on this. I advise you to check out Record 1, Side 1. If those tracks don't grab you, this is not for you. But it is a wonderful collection of music and a really enjoyable companion piece to an enjoyable movie. Electric Six, fire. I was not able to save the record that came with this sleeve, but the sleeve and the inner sleeve were in pristine condition, so I gave them a thorough cleaning, and this worked as a beautiful, perfect upgrade to my copy of this album that I used to drag DJing with me all the time, because this is a great album to DJ with. It segues in and out of so many different types of music. Anyway, the outer and inner sleeves have seen an awful lot of action, so I was able to upgrade for absolutely no money, and that's the right price. Incidentally, if you don't know Electric Six, it's rock and roll, it's disco, it's everything in between, and their tongues are firmly in cheek. To give you an example, one of their two guitarists goes by the moniker the Rock and Roll Indian. That's a band you gotta love. Speaking of Electric Six, I had the 12-inch version of Danger, High Voltage, When We Touch, When We Kiss. This record features guest vocals from Jack White. This 12-inch includes remixes by Jacques Lucante and Soulchild. I am usually not a big fan of remixes, but the A-side Blitz mix by Soulchild is really, really fun. The B-side is crazy and like almost an entirely different song that I kind of like too. And this record, I didn't have to do anything to except cut off the outer bag, which was actually sealed. I wish they all were sealed like this guy was. He's really in the best shape of them all. We can't keep stopping like this. We really gotta fly. Bill Nelson's Red Noise, Revolt into Style. This is a really fun 3-track release that's on Harvest Records, and I got this for $3 back in the day. Bill Nelson you may know from Bebop Deluxe. He later had a wonderful solo career. Listen to the song Do You Dream in Color. That is what Bill Nelson is really all about, that kind of vibe. Very much like a John Fox Ultravox kind of feel. But Bill Nelson's Red Noise, it's a lot more rock and roll. I'll put a link below to one of these jams, so check that out if that sounds like it's up your alley. Syl Sylvain and the Teardrops. I got this for $5 at a store that's not there anymore on St. Mark's called Rocket Scientist. Get it? And it's in beautiful condition. It is a promo copy, as you can tell by the not for sale demonstration stamp on the back. But it is a really fun album, as I detailed in my Sylvain tribute episode. Yes, if you're a new viewer to the show, I did an entire episode just on New York Doll, Sylvain. I couldn't find it when I did my episode, ironically, but I'm glad to have it back in the fold. And this is a fun album. Almost 1950s style rock and roll, which is what Syl brought to the New York Dolls, if you think about it. Changes One, Bowie. This is my old Changes One Bowie that I bought when I was like 14 maybe, and it's still in phenomenal shape because I haven't been playing it. I already have this comp in my massive Bowie collection. It's always great to have a backup that's in fantastic shape. Hugh Masekela is alive and well at the Whisky. This is the fantastic trumpeter Hugh Masekela live at the Whisky A Go-Go in Hollywood. This is on the Uni label. When I was a kid and I saw Monterey Pop, to this day my favorite music festival of all time, I fell in love with Hugh Masekela. He was such an exciting performer, and his music was so surprising and new and obviously foreign. So I hunted down some of his stuff. And this provides a really nice overview of the unique individual that Masekela is. And he also does some covers, such as Procol Harum's A Whiter Shade of Pale and Up, Up and Away, My Beautiful Balloon, which was made popular by, I believe, the Fifth Dimension. Anyway, check out the song MRA, Christopher Columbus. It is the song that kicks off this album, and it shows Hugh and his band firing on all cylinders. As long as we're in a jazzy vein, The Teachers, James Moody. I got this LP put out by Perception Records for $5 at my beloved Academy record store. Let's see how long ago. In 2003. And this record sums up what's great in general about record stores. I was picking through the records, and this record was playing on the store sound system. I was like, what is this? And he's like, oh, this is a James Moody record. It's a really good record. I don't know why it's not more popular. And so I bought it. This has some great James Moody stuff on it. But check out Hello Goodbye, the Beatles cover, to see if this is your cup of tea. Because if you enjoy that version, even a little bit, you will love this whole album. Black Star, Redefinition. This is a promo disc for the Mos Def and Talib Kweli team-up known as Black Star, the debut album of which is one of my favorite hip-hop albums of all time. And this features a radio version, a street version, as in they curse, and an instrumental version. So 3 versions of this fantastic song. I already have a copy of Redefinition, but you can never have too many copies of a great disc. This apparently cost me $10 at the time. Price tag on the label. Not a fan of that. And it came in a white generic sleeve with the promotion stamp on it. But unfortunately, that just had too much mildew to save. But the record, luckily, it was in great shape. The DBs, like this. I don't know if you know the DBs, but if you are into early to mid REM or any of Big Star's stuff, you might really enjoy what the DBs do. They're on Bearsville Records. The DBs are one of those bands that just took a ridiculous time to get signed, given their talent. And this is a really fantastic album by them. This came out in 1984. Check out the song A Spy in the House of Love. I will put a link to it below. If you like that song, the DBs are for you. All right, we really gotta fly, guys. No more stopping, I'm serious. Let's do it. Up next, a promo copy of the Sugar Cubes single, 12-inch single, for Motor Crash. On one side is the LP version of Motor Crash, and on the other side is Motor Crash Live. It was obviously once at a real radio station, and I really love this song. The original, Last Poets, from the hit movie Right On. I really have always loved The Last Poets. And this is the kind of album where you want to listen on headphones and just kind of lay down and close your eyes and let these guys take you somewhere. If you like really good spoken word stuff and most music lets you down as far as delivering a message and really saying something, Last Poets. The Doors' greatest hits. During my Jim Morrison phase, which was, I believe, age 13, I had just read the Jim Morrison biography, No One Here Gets Out Alive, and had to have the greatest hits. It's really nice having the exact copy that I listened to as a kid all those years ago. And at the time, I was like, why does everyone make such a big deal over Light My Fire? When I finally heard the full version of Light My Fire, I was blown away, and I'm like, okay, I get it. And I think my love of jazz today was stoked by that initial hearing of the full version of Light My Fire. But anyway, this is a greatest hits, and the Doors are one of those bands that will just overwhelm you when you listen to a greatest hits, because they have such a great variety of styles and different colors to their music. I liked all of the songs on this as a kid, but when I heard the track Not to Touch the Earth, I was like, that's my Doors. Not to Touch the Earth is my favorite Doors track, and I think it's a very forward-thinking Doors track. I think I hear a lot of modern music that was birthed after this in that Doors track. Very trippy track. Anyway, Doors' greatest hits. What collection is complete without it? Let It Be, on Apple. This was given to me by a good friend from college. She gave me a few albums that she couldn't listen to because she didn't have a turntable at the time. It's really nice getting this album back. I never rebought it because I figured this was out there somewhere, that I just didn't look in the right closet or something. I remembered owning it, and I'm glad that I have it back now, especially on the heels of seeing the full Peter Jackson Get Back documentary. And I forgot just how beautiful the original Across the Universe is, because I've heard so many shitty covers of that song. So good to have this back. Get back! B-52's Mesopotamia. I already have several copies of this album, both the US version and the British version, which features slightly longer songs and different mixes. So if you haven't gotten them, get those. But I never pass up a chance to purchase this album whenever I see it in the store. I don't know why. It's usually only like $5. And it features my favorite B-52's song, the title track, Mesopotamia. I also love Loveland, which I think is an underrated song in general in their catalog. For the rest of this week's episode, please join my Patreon at patreon.com/popculturegraveyard or click above for more free content.